should be good.
I got the notification.
It's up.
Yeah.
All right, come.
The notification.
Shalom.
Yeah.
That's someone's going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Fakadash. Have honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone. Please say, take to the Achion, to the elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth, and in faith and sincerity. All right, this topic, basically, my brothers out from the Houston camp, I didn't be going into basically the Gentiles, on how that the Gentiles, right, that are mentioned, right, in the scriptures concerning salvation in the New Testament, right, are Israelites, right, the ones who Paul, I went to when he journeyed to teach, right, all of those people were Israelites that were living, right, in a Gentile state of mind. They were living in the lands. They were living like the people in the lands where they were scattered unto, right, and they became just like them. Right? Some of them, fell away completely and lived, as a Greek, right? And you had some of them who spoke Greek, but they still kept the customs, right? And so you have two different types of Gentile, right? You have the natural Gentile, which is basically the other heathen nations, right, that are not Israelites, right? And then you also have the Israelites, right, that are living like a Gentile in a Gentile state of mind. So, as a brother that had that John 7, so you start right there.
All right, I got it. This is John 7 and verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Right, said, will he go unto the dispersed, right? And that word for disperse is diaspora, and he goes into a scattering dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations because we were scattered, which we would get those precepts um, later, right? Proving, right, that Israel was scattered all over, but they are referring to those Israelites that were scattered, the ones who are the circumcision, right? But when you read this in a different translation, right, this is John 7:35 in the NIV. The Jews said to one another, "Whether this man intend to go that we cannot find him? Will he go where our people live, scattered among the Greeks, and teach the Greeks?" Right? Because if you know anything about the history, right, um, during the time of the Maccabees and Antiochus Epiphanes, right, on how that he basically forcibly, right, was Hellenizing our people into that Greek way, right? And you had some that revolted, right? You can look it up. Go to Wikipedia, anything. The Maccabean revolt, right? It's when you had Judas Maccabees, you had Matthias, his father. They those were the ones who revolted, right? Then later on, you had that Hasmonean dynasty, right? The ones who basically kept the customs, right? My signal's still good.
Con.
It's fine.
Okay.
Con.
Hey, the brother Rock got two screens up. I'm not sure if you see it.
Oh, Con. Hold up.
I had removed it on my
It's
end.
still up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
still up.
yeah. I still can see it here.
Hold up.
It's not
Hold up.
showing in live though, so
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be good. It should be good.
All right, Con.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you,
So,
somebody might say a few words, brother?
yeah, come.
Yeah, you know, and just like the brother is explaining, okay, those Israelites who are speaking in John 7 and 35, they well understood the history that befell our people during the Greek Empire, man. Inside of the book of the Maccabees and the Apocrypha, which you Christians say that those scriptures aren't canon for the most part, okay? But you have some Christians who do subscribe to the Apocrypha, man. But there's a big gap of history that most Christians don't know about, man. So when they see the word Gentile, Greek, and Grecian, and you know, a barbarian, those different terminologies, they automatically assume that it's talking about a non-Israelite. In particular, they think they're talking about the white man. That's what they think it's talking about when they say Greek. They think it's talking about Esau, Edom. Okay, but it's not, man. This is why the history of the Maccabees is very important to understand. And what befell the children of Israel during that time frame, man. Most people don't know it. So when we come out and bring this information out, it's like, wow. But then again, you'll still have, you know, people who were so-called, you know, a refuting and try to say, no, you know, the Apocrypha isn't canon, so y'all lying. Well, if the Apocrypha isn't canon, then why did the Lord Yahweh, whom you call Jesus, keep Hanukkah? Hanukkah isn't found nowhere else in the Bible but in the book of Maccabees. Then you can find it in the book of John chapter 10. But hopefully, you know, all the info will come out soon. Go ahead, Doc.
Can I basically go into those two separate Gentiles, right, that I spoke about earlier, because you had the ones who didn't know, who lost, right, the way of being Israelites completely, and they just was living as though different nations, and they became them. But you had the ones who did know, right, and was keeping the customs of being an Israelite, but they spoke that language of that nation. So brother can get Acts 11 and 19 and read verse 20 as well.
I got it. The book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
Right. So the word that they was preaching, the audience, the audience that they were focusing on, right, were of Israel. All right. So you see that it's discriminating against anybody else. Read the next verse.
Acts 11 and 20. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Yahushua.
So it says unto the Grecians, right? And the Strong's number is G1675, Hellenistas. Right? It says one who imitates the manner and customs of the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. But B says using the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek, right? That's what it's talking about. Right? The Hellenistas, those Jews, right, that spoke that language, right? But they knew that they were Israel. Right? Because you see, they said they spoke, the previous verse said they spoke none but to the Jews only. But then it says the Grecians. Because why? Because they were of Israel. Right? And real quick, if a brother can get Acts 16 and 1.
Acts 16 and 1. Then came he to the Bear and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed that his father was a Greek.
No,
Go ahead. But Yeah, but his father was a Greek.
Salaki. Did I say that wrong? Oh, but his father
Yeah.
was a Greek. Salaki.
Excuse me.
Right. So this is going into Timothy's father, right? Because we know Timothy was an Israelite, right? And it said, but his father was a Greek. And you are what your father is, but when you go into Greek, as Strong's is G1672, Helen, right? It says a Greek either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland of the Greek islands or colonies. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship, right? But they say the name embraces all nations, not Jews, right? But the Jews did it, right, because of Antiochus Epiphanes. He forced that way upon them. So they became Hellenized. So that definition is off, right? But you had you had the Jews that became Hellenized, and they taught it to their kids, and their kids taught it to their kids later on down the line. And of being an Israelite, that was just completely out the window. Right, that wasn't in the ones that were completely Hellenized. That wasn't in their minds. Right, they were basically living that Greek way. It's like today you have Israelites that are Americanized. Right, they all in the Olympics. Right, they all into the bodybuilding and weightlifting. You see into the football, right, and the basically goes back into the Coliseum and all of that. It's all of this stuff coming back. You see, they coming back doing the thing that they were doing, back then. All right, and we were even in this position. You see, being a completely Americanized, right? But we know that we're Israelites, even though that we speak in this language.
God.
All right, so brothers can come with some other precepts.
I got the that Maccabees, the account with the Maccabees. All right, this is Maccabees 1 and 11. First Maccabees 1 and 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. It says so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. It
You was
says,
gonna say something about?
say it again.
I said you was gonna say something on it.
Well, just saying that this is what the Israelites, some Israelites, they were trying to go after the heathen, like you were saying right now with the we're just saying that some Israelites was trying to go after the ways of the heathen. And this is an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Just trying to follow their customs and do the things that they were doing.
Right. And it happened during the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth. Okay. And that's why in John 7 and 35, those Israelites, they refer to those scattered Israelites as Gentiles or Greeks. I brought them out read John 7 and 35 again because they understood the history. This is why they called them Gentiles or Greeks. Okay, brother, read that again.
God. This is John chapter 7, verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Right, those are two different Gentiles right there. The first mentioned Gentile is talking about natural Gentiles, okay, actual heathens, man. But the second mention of the word Gentile, which should be Greek, okay, for both of them, that's talking about scattered Israelites, man, who grew up in the Greco-Roman way of life, okay, that was totally detached from the Commonwealth of Israel. They had no knowledge of being an Israelite. They didn't keep the high holy days. They were completely bugged out, like how niggas are today who don't know the Lord. And this is the information that we're getting into and showing the precepts, man, that those Gentiles, those Greeks, whom the Apostle Paul was preaching to, they were indeed Israelites, man. And it's easy to prove by what the Apostle Paul wrote in his letters. He showed without a doubt that they were Israelites, man. But it's so many ways to prove it. Okay, what you're going to do in this lesson here. All right, go ahead, Doc.
Still have some more, rock.
Yeah, it was some more. It says, yeah, this is First Maccabees 1:14. It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Right, the
It says,
gym.
yeah, Khan.
So you go into
It's
that word gymnos, right? I mean naked. And this is what they was doing back then. And they hey, they put this in Jerusalem, right? All the heathen they was doing this, but Jake said, "Nah, we gonna have one in Jerusalem."
By the temple. But Jake butt naked, bro. By the temple, bro.
right.
In Jerusalem.
Hmm.
Tripping, dog. Tripping, man. But since Jake was catching so much hell at the time, you know what I'm saying? You had some Jake, as the brother read, they went and sought comfort from Antiochus and them, man, and gave them license to do their wickedness, bro. And this is why when you get up to the time when Yahweh Shai and the apostles, they was completely gone. All right, go ahead, brother.
And just one more. It says, First Maccabees 1:15. It says, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
Right. It says made themselves uncircumcised. Man, you had Jake sewing foreskin back on their private parts, man. Surgically putting that stuff upon them, bro, just to appear as if they was uncircumcised in the eyes of the Greeks, man. Because according to the Greeks, if you wasn't uncircumcised, you were like, you know what I'm saying, like a nigger to them, you know, like a low life to them. Because the standard was to be uncircumcised, so Jake was getting fake skin from somewhere and sewing it directly on their privy parts, man. I mean, just complete wickedness, okay? But that was the standard,
Uh,
right? Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
yeah, it was called epispasm.
Yeah. Whew.
You go to Google and look up epispasm. It says that is a word derived from ancient Greek that means circumcision reversal or foreskin restoration. It said epispasm was popular in the first century among circumcised Jewish men who wished to appear as intact Greek.
Mm.
Just like what you just said, bro.
Come on. Yeah. The history states. If you do the history, if you do the work, man, you'll find out that you had Israelite men who just completely just bugged out, bro. And they pushed that Greco world life heavy up on Jake. Okay, I got a precept, brother, to just
Uh,
further prove that here. Uh, this is Second Maccabees. All right, Slocky. This Second Maccabees 4. Okay, this Second Maccabees chapter 4, and I'll start at 10 here. It says, which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand to rule. Right. This talking about a wicked Israelite man named Jason. Okay, who labored to be high priest behind Onesimus' back, man. And he was talking to, the king about how he'll do this and do that for them. And the king said, look, well, you the high priest now. And so it says here, which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand to rule, right, a men in the priesthood, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amenity and aid. He took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up a new customs. He brought up new customs against the law, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief men under his subjection and made them wear a hat. It says, now such was the height of the Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrificing, hastening to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise, after the game discus called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. So you had Israelite men, man, glorifying the Greek way of life. And that lasted all the way up to the time of Yahushua, man. Jake was going completely off. So this is what the Apostle Paul was dealing with, man. This is why the sacrifice of Yahushua was so important. Because they were so far gone, like, bro, ain't no way in the hell they're able to come back. But Yahushua's sacrifice made a way for them, bro. Just like us. All right, go ahead, brother.
I think you had read verse 9 when it said they called them by the name of Antiochus.
I started at 10.
Yeah, it said that verse 9 said, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set them up at a place of exercise and for the training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen. They go on with sports today. It says, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochus.
Right.
You see, they were changing everything to the Greek fashion. That was the Hellenization.
God. And there was a Go ahead, I was say now.
No, you finished your point. I don't think nobody said nothing.
Okay, yeah, no, I want to say, yeah, there was a heavy blow to Israel, man. Okay, but it was a prophecy. All right, it was a prophecy that Jake will fall like that, man. And this is why we get to the New Testament, you see all this Greek and Grecian stuff. And if you don't know the history, you will know what is going on like a Christian, man. Because they will read these precepts and be completely bugged out. But these men and women who came back into the fold were indeed Israelites. Okay, go ahead, Doc.
Because like you had, they said make themselves uncircumcised. Too, they made themselves uncircumcised spiritually too, and mentally in the mind.
Right.
Because when you go to Romans 2 and 25, it says, for circumcision verily profited if thou keep the law, but if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. So they became uncircumcised.
Right. And this is why Paul said that he was the apostles, he was the apostle to the uncircumcision. I'll read it here. Galatians 2 and 7, it says, but contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of the circumcision was unto Peter, for he that wrought effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, meaning Peter was to go, all right, to the Israelites who knew that they were Israelites, right? It says, the same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles. Paul was commissioned to go to the uncircumcised Israelites, man. It's that simple. And this is why you have those different letters of the Galatians and the Ephesians, Colossians, Philippians, right? The Romans, the Corinthians. Because Paul was commissioned to go to those lost brothers and sisters and preach Yahushua to them so that the elect can come back into the fold, man. And his letters prove without a doubt. Okay, brother, got a precept?
Yeah, I think them. You about to grab something else?
No. I'll let brother go then.
Okay.
Yeah. About the word.
Back in that John 7, it spoke about the diaspora. I think about the Maya. I forgot who had the precepts on the scattering. I think it was about the Maya.
Yeah, James 1, I think.
Come on, I had James 1 and 1. Let me pull it up, Babusha. The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
Come. So
And that
Yeah,
was,
yeah. Go ahead.
it was just showing that that we've been scattered to all of the nations, pretty much amongst the world to this day. That we have been mixed and mingled.
Yeah, man. So I guess the Apostle John was being racist and a bigot because his letter is specifically to the scattered Israelites, man. Okay, all 12 tribes around the earth, and that word "scattered" in that verse is the same word for a dispersed in John 7:35.
mm-hmm.
Also, it's the same word that's in what is it? First Peter chapter 1:1, I believe.
About the strangers.
Yeah, the scattered. What you say? So the scattered.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
same word.
yeah. Same word. So they were writing to Israelites, man. They were writing to the children of Israel, okay, who were scattered among these different nations. All right, it's not that hard, man. All right, go ahead, Doc.
Cause I know that brother had that Deuteronomy too.
Con.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
You start
And
above that.
you wouldn't start at 63 or 15, so like,
63.
okay, kind. Deuteronomy 28 and 63.
I know
And
you
it's
be doing that.
Huh?
I said I know you be doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's speaking about him taking us up out the land and then scattering us.
Right.
okay, kind. The water. Deuteronomy 28 and 63. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and multiply you, so the Lord Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Man, the
So
Lord
we
said,
want
the
you got
Lord said, I'm gonna bring you to not meaning to nothing. I'm gonna bring you down to nothing, man. And then I'm gonna get you up out of this land. That happened to our people, but we've been brought down to nothing, man. Right, go ahead, brother.
done. Because like you had the Canaanites that were dwelling in there first, and the Lord said, "Hey, look, I'm taking them out of the land because of all these things that they doing. So don't do this." So when Israel started living like that, hey, the Lord was justified in what He was doing. He said, hey, "You can't dwell in the land of Israel, right? Committing wickedness." You see, that's why even when the heathen had got up in the had got up in there and what Samaria, you see, and they had to bring them priests up in there to teach them how to keep the laws, right? Because the Most High was sending them beasts amongst them. You see, was basically plaguing them for living like that over there, right? So whenever that happens, because even in the law, it said, "Hey, don't do this thing, so that the land spew you not out." And hey, Israel did the contrary.
Yeah, go
You
ahead,
keep
Bobby
going.
Brown.
Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people.
Right. The Lord shall scatter thee among all people, meaning all the nations on the planet Earth, that where Israel has been scattered. No matter where you go into the world, you will find Israelites amongst these different nations, man. All right, go ahead, Doc.
From one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Right. The Lord said you're going to serve other gods that our forefathers didn't know. Now, what comes with serving other gods? A whole different spiritual system, different customs, a different identity, right? Everything changes about you once you commit to certain gods. Look at Jake that's following Egyptology, man. They got these so-called Egyptian names. They could be painting their face, right? dressing up like, the so-called ancient Egyptians, so-called guys into Islam, right? Jake changed his name to Rizza Islam because he's serving the God of Ishmael. So he changed his whole identity to show that, look, I'm committed to this God. This is what happened to Jake, man. This is why when you read the New Testament, all these Greek names like Timothy, that's a Greek name. Timothy's daddy named him Timothy. Okay, his mom was a Hebrew Israelite, man. His dad was a Hebrew Israelite too, but his daddy just subscribed to that Greek way of life, man. And named his son Timotheus. Okay? And Paul writing his letter, to different, Israelite men out there, okay, and women out there who had all them damn Greek names. They fully committed to their way. Same thing with us, man. Growing up here in Babylon the Great. Okay, most of us, grew up Christian, right? Both the hell out of our minds. But that's the God that was presented to us. So we shaped our lives according to that. Just completely gone. So this is what happened to Jake, man. It's not that hard once you start to put two and two together. It's not that hard. All right, go ahead, brother.
I was going to say, when you go into serving other gods, that's breaking the first commandment, first of the 10 commandments. You're not supposed to have no other God, no other powers above Yahweh.
Right. And this is why in the New Testament, okay, the Jews who like they knew the law and were keeping the customs, they didn't want to deal with Jake, who was following the Greek way of lifestyle. Man, you had Jake with bald head, tattoos on their face that were homosexuals and lesbians, pedophiles. They were completely gone. So the Jakes who were keeping the law, like, hell no. They can't come nowhere near us. And this is why they jumped on the Apostle Paul, man. They beat Paul, bro, for talking to them men. Okay, for preaching to him. But Paul wasn't doing nothing wrong. They didn't understand that Yahweh blood made a way for them brothers and sisters to come back into the fold, man. All right, go ahead, brother.
That was it on that?
That was it on that one.
Come on, brother can get Romans 3:29.
Right, I got it here. This is Romans 3:29. It says, is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also.
Right, so a personal understanding would be like, see, he's a God of the Jews and the Gentiles, of everybody, right? But you can read the next verse out?
Right. It says, seeing it is one God, which shall justify the circumcision by faith and the uncircumcision through faith.
All right, so it's mentioning the circumcision and the uncircumcision. So this is the Gentiles that it's talking about. And we just explained what the circumcision was. These are the Israelites, right, that came up in those customs. They was raised up in that way. They already knew they were Israelites, right? But the uncircumcision was opposite of that. These were the ones that were living in those foreign lands, that didn't have knowledge of them being Israelites, and some that did, right? But it says, is he a God of the Jews only? And you go here to Joel 2:27, and ye shall know that I'm in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your power, or Yahweh your God, right? And none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. So he's saying that he's only a God to the Israelites, right? Even going back to Abraham, Genesis 17:7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Right? And so who got the land of Canaan? That was the name of the land of Israel before it was called Israel. So this is pertaining to the Israelites. It's dealing with the chosen seed of Abraham. Romans the 9th chapter goes into that chosen seed. So he said he was going to be a God unto them. This was a covenant. Right? The other nations weren't in this. So when you go back and read Romans 3, they see a God of the Jews only is he not a God of the Gentiles, yes, of the Gentiles also, because they're the same people. All right,
I got a precept.
come.
This is Amos 3:2. It says, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth." And this is talking about the Israelites. And it says that for therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Because if you look at it, we're the only ones that's being punished for the iniquities that we've done. So just backing up that it's just for Israel and not for the other nations,
Right, because he said he only known us. You see, that's why we got them curses on. That's why we doing bad how we is, because of
right?
them curses. Because hey, we were supposed to know better. Right? It's as if because hey, like the Most I said, Israel is my it's like his firstborn son. Right, and he just chastening his son right now.
Right.
Let me see. Brother had another precept.
Come on, yeah. Yeah, I have one here.
Kind of
This
have
is
one. It's like,
Romans 9 and verse 24. It says, "Even us whom he had called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles." And this is another precept that a Christian will use, and somebody else who is unlearned to say, you see, God did call the Gentiles too, just didn't call the Jews, but Christ died so the Gentiles can be brought into the faith too. But the Apostle Paul is going to explain unto you people who these Gentiles were that were called. Verse 25 says, "As he said also in OC." Now, who is OC? OC is the Greek way of saying Hosea. The Apostle Paul is quoting the prophet Hosea. Okay? It says, "As he said also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not my beloved." Now, a Christian once again can read this and say, you see, the Gentile were never God's people. So obviously, this got to be talking about non-Israelites. And that's their stance. Okay? Their stance is that, look, these Gentiles are non-Israelites. But they failed to read the prophecies and what the Apostle Paul is about to say. Here, Paul quoted Hosea 2. Okay? Now, verse 26 says, "And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God." Now, if a brother don't mind, can a brother grab Hosea 1 and 10?
God, I got it.
Because Paul quoted Hosea 1 and 10 here in verse 26. And let's see who is the them that the scripture is talking about. Go ahead, brother.
This is Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea."
Right? It says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel." That's the subject matter. Right? The children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. Go ahead, Doc.
"Which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Uh-huh.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power."
So at one point in time in history, the Israelites were not being called the children of God. And they started back during the time when the Apostle Paul was on the scene. This is what the Apostle Paul was dealing with. The Jews who was keeping the laws, they were saying, no, they ain't Israelites no more, bro. Them niggas Greeks. They are not Israelites. But Paul like, nah, bro. They can come back now, bro. Because Yahweh made a way for them. He cleared their transgressions for them through his sacrifice, man. So now they can be called Israelites. They can't be called the children of God now because they have repented and came back to the fold. But the Jews who was hell bent on the law, they ain't want to look. They did not want to hear that, bro. But Paul is breaking it down here in the scriptures. He's telling you that these Gentiles, whom the Heavenly Father called, that they are Israelites, man. How can you argue against this? A Christian will still argue that no, this is not what that's talking about. I'm going to read verse 27. It says, Isaiah also cried concerning Israel. So this is the third precept Paul has pulled. Now, Vocab Malone called this Hebrew hopscotch. Because Paul went from Hosea chapter 2 to Hosea chapter 1. Now he's going to the book of Isaiah. Vocab Malone said you can't do that when you teach. But yet the Apostle Paul is doing that. This is Romans 9:27. Isaiah also cried concerning Israel. Though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. So this is all about Israel, man. They are the ones whom the Heavenly Father have chosen. That's who salvation is for. All right, go ahead, Doc.
Count. I had Galatians 3:13. It says, Yahushua had redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangs on the tree. So Yahushua became a curse for us by basically going through and making a sacrifice that he made, right? Basically taking on that penalty of death that will come, through the law, right? For not keeping it, for transgressing it. It says that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua Mashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. All right, so he said that the blessing, or that we might receive the promise, right? That the blessing might come on the Gentiles. Now, what blessings is he referring to? Going back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Yahushua had to basically die and be that sacrificial lamb, so all of those promises can come, unto this nation and unto the ones that were lost, right? Because when you go to Hebrews 9:15, it says, and for this cause, he's the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, just like Galatians 3 said that he became a curse, he had to die, right? Go make that sacrifice, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament. So it was for them that transgressed the first covenant. You see, these are the Gentiles that it's talking about, that they transgressed this first covenant, which when you go into further even down Galatians 3, and no difference between the Jew or the Greek, right? It also speaks about the Most High concluding us all under sin, because because we are all Israel went off. It says they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance, going into the promises. That's what it's talking about. You about to say something, Donella?
No, I want to say, just by how the Apostle Paul worded this, he said that Hamashiach had redeemed us from the curse of the law. How is that talking about everybody? The law did not apply to all nations, to everybody, man. But he's writing this to the Galatians. Why is it that he's including them in this when he say us? Because clearly he's talking about himself and the Galatians and all of Israel. I can't find one scripture that say that Moses came down and took a ship to Turkey, okay, and he was preaching to the Greeks and made a covenant with the Greeks, man. No, sir. There was only to the Israelites, bro. Redeemed us from the curse of the law. This is plain. All right, go ahead,
Con. I think Galatians 3:28 too says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all in Yahushua Mashiach, right? Because we are the same. Right? We all come from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We all descended from them. Right? We are Israelites, right? And we all are basically the same as the need in Yahushua as well. Ephesians, the second chapter, go into that. Because we are all up on the sin. He basically made us all one through him. It says, And if ye be Yahweh, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. You see, so again, it's speaking on that chosen seed that was going to receive those promises, and they're going to be heirs. Right after it speaks about there not being not a difference between the Jew or the Greek, because they are Israelites. Right? The people they can't put together these scriptures and come to an understanding of who this is talking about, right? Because the Lord is not dealing with them, and even if they could see it, they would deny it still.
Right? You're on a precept here, brother. This is 1 Corinthians 12:1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. That's Deuteronomy 28:64. That was carried away to those dumb idols, man.
Mm.
He talking about the Corinthians. He said that you were Gentile, meaning that before you found out about Yahweh and his truth, you were serving idols, man. Being Corinthians, okay, being Greeks. And the city of Corinth, look, brother, that was a wicked city, okay? The city of Corinth was a wicked city. Do your research on it. And Paul had the most trouble with the Corinthians. Jay going goddamn crazy out there, man. But yeah, but this is only to Israelites, man, okay? You can't change your nationality, bro. But a Christian will have you believe that. A Christian will have you believe that you can mentally change your nationality. That's madness, okay? Complete madness. Go ahead, though.
This is Colossians. She said that Colossians 1:20, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself, unto Yahweh and his sacrifice. By him I say, whether things be in earth or things in heaven, and you that were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now had he reconciled. So we became Gentiles in the mind through wicked works, right? Because that's why I said that ye were Gentiles. A natural Gentile can't be anything else except for a Gentile, right? So Yahweh Shai reconciled us right from those ways, and we came back unto being Israelites, right? Having the knowledge of the names, having knowledge of the customs, right?
Right. And in order for you to be reconciled back to something, that means that you once was a part of it, man. And the word reconcile means to make friendly again.
Mm.
But the Most High never dealt with the nations ever. How he dealt with Israel. Okay? It's plenty of precepts on that, man. So these Colossians, they were Israelites. How could they be reconciled if they never was a part of this thing, man? I can't give you my wallet, brother, because look, my wallet never belonged to you.
Right.
Give you back my wallet. But that's my wallet. Hey, look, only my wallet can be reconciled to me, man.
Right.
You can't
I
call a
just,
claim to my wallet.
it's just like when we went to restoring the friendly relations because it was animosity between us and the Most High from breaking that covenant.
Right.
Right. So Yahweh Shah came to basically make that peace and then be that mediator. Right? Because we was at fault. Hebrews 8 speak about that we was at fault for breaking that covenant. Right? Nobody else is at fault with the Most High because the Most High was holding them accountable. He was holding us accountable.
Right.
So, brother, had anything else?
I got this one in Ephesians. This is Ephesians 2:11. It says, wherefore remember that you being in time past Gentiles in the flesh. And this again is talking about the Israelites, okay, being the Gentiles. It says, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Right.
Because go ahead. All right. Yeah,
No, I
well,
want to say
go ahead.
no. I want to say the time past is talking about how they was doing wicked works,
Right.
and Paul explained that up in Ephesians 2:1 on down. He explained how there was basically bugs out in the world. That's the time past that they're talking about. Okay, wherefore remember that ye being Gentiles, I mean, that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, man, that was doing wicked works, man. Okay? Because a Christian, I heard a Christian pastor read this and say, you see, it says Gentiles in the flesh. So they were talking about natural I mean, he was bugging out, bro. Screaming in the
Right.
damn camera. Dude, they're talking about doing wicked works, man.
Right.
Okay? Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, that was it on that.
No,
Oh
read
yeah,
one
yeah,
more verse.
fine.
That's fine.
12. This is Ephesians 2 and 12. It says that at that time you were without a Mashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world.
Right. And Shamala just broke that down.
Yeah.
How Yahushua had to give his life so that they can now be a part of their promise, a part of their covenant, man. But at first, it says what? There was aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Meaning what? They weren't keeping the Passover, right? None of the holy days. They was completely just cut off. But they were Israelites, though, man. But because of their works, their practices, it was like hell no. And so there was a amongst the heathens as being heathens, bro. Okay? No hope, okay, no knowledge of nothing. But Yahushua made a way for them, man. Okay? Go ahead, brother. All I have,
It
brother.
said, Ephesians 2 and 13, it says, but now in the Mashiach Yahushua, ye who sometimes were far off or made nigh by the blood of a Mashiach.
Right. That's it. That's it, right? That's it. They're made not by the blood of Yahushua, man. Now that we're able to come back into the fold, just how we are today, man. It's only through the sacrifice of Yahushua that we're able to claim Israel. Able to do this work, man. And it was the same thing for them, you know? That was it, brother.
That was it.
Okay.
Brother got anything else? The brother about the mind just took off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, he right there.
Oh, yeah, he fell out.
I'm trying to get back in now. No, it's a
Hey,
lot.
brother, hey, look. They trying to watch the playoff game, brother. They're watching the playoff one.
Yeah.
I had a precept.
Hey, go ahead.
Romans 11 and 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, in as much as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify in my office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, it might save some of them. So I mean, who's Apostle Paul's flesh? I mean, the Israelites. If you read Romans 11 and 1, I say then, have Yahweh cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, like the brothers was going into that chosen seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of the tribe of Benjamin. So he's talking about the Israelites who are pretty much in a Gentile state of mind. That's who he came to preach to, the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Mm-hmm. The whole chapter is really fire going into that topic.
Right.
How that he was going to provoke them to jealousy. That's what I believe that was in Hosea as well. About the use of a strange nation. I think it's Deuteronomy 32 as well, about provoking them to
Yeah, Deuteronomy. Yeah, Deuteronomy.
yeah.
Paul had quoted it, and I believe Peter too. I believe.
Kind
Yep.
Con, I got it right here if you want it.
what?
That foolish nation.
Yeah, you can bring it up.
This is Deuteronomy 32 and verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
Right.
Right.
Not a people. That should automatically send you to Hosea chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically, man. But see, a Christian won't do that. A Christian won't think like that. It said not a people. So obviously these are Gentiles. You niggas are terrible, man. Okay, and look, we went through basic scriptures here. Okay, there are tons of more precepts and many more angles to attack this thing, man. But Shemar, you got anything else, brother? You got it, bro.
That was it. So, with that, hey, fine. Unto all of you who was listening, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, the honor to the apostle, elders of the millstone, peace, salutation, I come to the elect that scattered across the four corners of this earth, teaching this truth, believing in all sincerity. Hey, Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.